Hi everyone, we are live. It's rock and roll time. Yes, we are now here with another Semrush Jam session. Hi everyone, I know that a lot of you are already seeing us on X, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. So please shut down your questions, your comments. That we'll be glad to read all of them and also share those questions to our guests. Because today we have Alex Moss. How are you, man? Come join us. Hey, there you go. How are you
Hello,
doing?
hello. How are you? I'm great, and you? Thanks for having me.
Okay, amazing. We are so happy to have you here. And today, for today's show, we're gonna cover the basic SEO that matter the most. And Alex, I will give you a few minutes to introduce yourself and share why we should talk about this. Why is the basic SEO still matters so much nowadays? Please.
Sure. Well, to introduce myself, I'm Alex Moss. I am a principal SEO at Yoast, but as well as that, I am an agency owner. I own an agency called Firecask. I'm also a product designer. I make backpacks, which is a bit weird, but very good on the learning curve of personal development and product development. And as well as that, I used to co-own a bar, amongst other things. I also have a background in WordPress development and, of course, SEO. So I'm really excited to be joining you. But yeah, what we wanted to talk about today is the basics of SEO, which some people not overlook, but day in, day out in our jobs, you kind of forget about the things that are obvious, right? The stuff that you would do maybe in the first couple of years of understanding the ropes, but maybe you lose touch of when you climb higher up the career ladder or skill ladder.
Exactly, Alex. So we see a lot of news, a lot of updates coming on, and these last months actually have even more. And by the end, we ask ourselves, what is the basic? What is still matters? Because we try to do a lot of new things. We try to adapt our strategies to implement all those new things. But some of that time, we might forget what is the basic that we still need to do. So considering this recently news that we have, what is the steps from basic SEO that we should keep doing? Also regarding to these new updates that we have, new AI reviews, everything, but what is the basics that we still need to do as we were doing so far and still give results for our SEO strategies?
Well, the basics to me is think about a house. I always think about a house when I describe things to my clients, especially when they're non-technical, right? As an auditor of sites, technical auditor, I kind of compared myself to a surveyor. You know, you go in the house, you make sure it's been built well, it's got the right foundations, and it's not, been built on a landfill or anything like that. And even though all of those things are different to what they are in tech, you can make a comparison. For example, being on a landfill, that to me is hosting. Is the building made of brick or wood? Is your theme or your baseline or your CMS actually really SEO friendly, right? And all of those things people seem to forget. Is the CMS actually SEO friendly? Can it extend in a way where you can do things you want to do, not just from a development point of view and an SEO point of view, but also from a content point of view? And weirdly, the options have been there the whole time. And things haven't changed much in the 20 years that I've been in SEO anyway, even though the technology, you say, has been updating and the shifts with AI overviews. In short, just make sure the site's built well. Does it have all the metadata there? Is it optimized well? Does it have all the relevant structured data that you need? Are my feeds set up correctly? For example, if you're an e-commerce owner, do you have that connected to merchant feed? If you're a physical store, do you have your business profile set up? Is the UX acceptable? And lastly, of course, is the content and the website itself, meaning UX and structure and navigational, is that all helpful to the user? Because that last part is very important, especially with the core updates, the helpful content updates, and of course, the AI overviews, which are going into the SERPs. Should you do anything different? In short, not really. Sounds weird. I know a lot of people said, here's what you can do with the new AI overviews, but my advice is always be helpful to the user, concentrate on brand, be helpful, and of course, fulfill intent of the page as well, which I know Semrush have a great blog post, and so does Yoast. So read them both for our statistics.
Cool. Alex, yes, this is one very basic point because when we are starting to create a new project or publish a new website, we start to think on our content strategy, on our promotion, on our social media channels, on how we will actually get more traffic. But we forget that a very well structured website, it's really important. It's like the fundamental part of the website that we need to have it done, because in the future we're gonna probably increase our website. We're gonna have a lot of more pages, and if the basics is not set well, the problems will be even bigger in like 6 months when we have like 100, 200 posts. How can we actually organize our infrastructure, a structured website, very well done, that the clusters will be organized, the page will be linked? How can we set that when we are creating a website, as an example, on WordPress, which is basically the most known CMS that we have?
I mean, me personally, my advice would be take a step back from the CMS and take a step back from your computer. Make a sitemap. And when I say make a sitemap, you can use things like MindMeister and SlickPlan and tools like that online. But I would go and say, take a step further, get a whiteboard, get Post-it notes, and actually plot down how you see the different areas of your site. It doesn't matter about the structure. Once you have the areas, you start to define how a structure may be and how you believe a user should navigate through your website to get to where you want them to be that's most helpful for them. So I'd like to also make another example of supermarkets. So supermarkets are set into aisles. If you think that you walk into a supermarket and research hasn't been done for tens of years to ensure that the aisle structure, the stock, hasn't been exactly precisely done, even by location of that shop, you're not thinking hard enough here. You need to think of everything's optimized. So even a shop, even something as your weekly shop in a supermarket has been optimized by the brand to ensure that things are being presented to you in the best way possible and in the right places at the right times. The same theory goes in websites. If I, for example, as a freelance SEO, I've got my own website that has my personal brand on there. It needs to know everything about me. You need to gain my trust. You need to understand what I do, how I can help you, and most importantly to me, how you can connect with me. But I don't want people to just connect with me. They need to find out information about me. Well, that goes into EEAT principles, right? Do I have expertise? Do I have experience? All of those things that you have, and authoritativeness and trust, all of those things that you need to combine, even though they're not direct ranking factors. This is trust of word of mouth. Go back before websites and the internet, and marketing principles in general haven't really strayed away from what they've always been. It's just the technology around it has changed.
Amazing, Alex. And actually, we're going to cover EAT later on our conversation, when we're going to cover a little bit more of content. But when we look for the technical aspects and we try to somehow attend all those news, all those updates that we have, what should we try to implement? So we just mentioned what is the basic, but is something from what we have heard from the last months regarding the updates, Google updates, and also AI search that we are trying to attend. What can we do to be ahead of the competition? And perhaps when this actually starts, we can actually see our websites ranking and give information those that will attain these new updates. Is there something that we should try to do on top of the basics?
Well, it's kind of content and tech go hand in hand. I would say review your information architecture and review the content you have already as well. Is it actually useful? Does it rank well? Is the keyword search volume and the keywords representative of the page that's ranking for those keywords or keyword sets? Go through what you can call a RID status on the content. Do you remove it? Do you improve it? Or do you delete it? Remove and delete? I don't know. RID status does have totally gone from my mind. But in RID status, essentially, do you keep it? Do you migrate multiple pages into one page based on the decision of the data you've got on search volume and ranking? Or do you remove that unhelpful, useless, dead weight kind of content? So that's the main thing that I would look at. As well as that, I would make sure that all metadata, and I include title and description, obviously, but I also include all schema and structured data into this. Ensure that the relevant structured data is set per page. If you're selling a product, make sure that the right things are coming out. Not just is it a product, but are all the attributes the same? Are all the variables the same? And a lot has been changing in product-based structured data in the last year, especially. But as well as that, again, simple stuff, connect your site to Webmaster Tools and Search Console, Bing Webmaster Tools, Google Search Console, and even others like Yandex have useful information on how to diagnose some simple stuff and some advanced stuff. But either way, some of them can really have great gains. And lastly, of course, improving the performance of your site. It's easy enough to say, and there are some things that are really easy to do, some things that are harder to do that hopefully you might have support or resource to have help with. But even things like implementing caching, especially on a WordPress site, there's lots of plugins out there that you can do. I would suggest things like WordFence, Security, WP Optimize, again, depending on your installation. But those things, and using things like Semrush's site audit, which is great. I'm always in there at least once a week to diagnose issues, and things like Screaming Frog, right? Everyone loves Screaming Frog. It's a great raw access to your site and understand what's being redirected. Is there a 404 happening? Are your internal links being shaped in the right way to gain topical authority?
Great. I'm glad that you mentioned Salt Audit from Semrush, Alex, because it's what we're going to share right now. It's a live demo. So I will show you guys a little bit from what you can actually implement and do with Semrush and some tools that we have that will attend actually the ideas and the tips that Alex just shared. So I will share my screen here very quickly so you can see how our report will show up. Are you seeing my screen, guys? So, okay, nice. So we are on Semrush. I already choose Site Audit tool, and we have some projects here for demos. And I will choose this one from Lufthansa. And when we audit a website with Semrush, the tool crawl your website and show all the errors, warnings, and notice that you need to improve, that you need to fix in your website to actually attend the basic SEO optimization that will lead you to actually have a better site and a site that will be able to rank. So when we look on arrows, for example, we can see a list of problems that this website has, which will be your website when auditing your own project. And you can see, for example, that 100 pages have duplicated meta description. Other issue here like duplicated title tags, some slow load speed, which we know that is very important related to Core Web Vitals. And the amazing point of this tool is that you can actually, if we are not so expert on SEO, you can see here what is this problem about the issue and how to fix it. So you actually get the instructions to fix this problem and improve your website. You can also see that we have thematic reports, focus on Core Web Vitals, internal links. We know that internal links is very important because it helps on the user experience and also through the web search to crawl your website much better. So there's a lot of information that can help you to fix 11,000 problems here, warnings actually. So all of them, we can see how to auto attributes. We know this is basic SEO. Please, when you are uploading your image in your website, add the auto attribute, add this information because this is really important. And this website has more than 5,000 images without the auto attribute. And here the problem and how to fix it. In the next part of the show, we're gonna cover related to content. And so I will show you how to find the best keywords for your project. Once you have done the technical basic aspects, you can go and improve your content. And here an example related to coffee brew. I hope you guys like coffee just as me. So with Keyword Magic Tool, you can find the best keywords for your content, and you can see the volume, the trend, the keyword difficult. In a very nice way, you can also use these filters and add just word count. So I'm looking for keywords that has more than 3 to 5 keyword words in their phrase. And also I can filter by keyword difficult. looking only for possible keywords, which is not too hard to rank for. So I can find good keywords, which are long tail keywords with a low difficult to rank and also with a good volume. So it's the perfect example of keywords that I can use when I'm starting my website and start to get traffic for those terms. And more than that, it's really important, guys, that you know that with Yoast, we can share this information in WordPress while we are using the Yoast plugin. So Semrush and Yoast has an integration, and you can, when using and configuring your Yoast SEO plugin, you can find the information from Semrush. You can see this blog post where we're gonna explain exactly how to find this information from Semrush using Yoast in the description of the video, also here in the chat. So you can see a lot of information from the keywords that you want to target using Yoast plugin. So as you know, Yoast help us a lot when optimizing our website, actually when we are publishing the content. So it's a perfect timing when you want to publish a content, you can get the best information from the keywords that you want to target. That's it, Alex. Are you using this information in your strategy, using self-audit to audit your projects and also keywords, looking for new keywords to improve your projects and your content strategy as well?
Always. I mean, it's part of the basis. I mean, it's technical, but it's not, because it's part of the general marketing strategy, and it should be shared not just with the SEO to optimize page X, Y, and Z, but it should be given to stakeholders and other team members in different teams to suggest inspiration on things that additional helpful content that they could write or improve on what's there already, or even down to product development, that you might find that there's something that isn't being done that is now gaining momentum, right? Or maybe something that's in the news. I know that I was on another call with Semrush just a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about keyword trends based on news items. And when I was looking at a demo, I saw something about jeans and bottle top jeans or whatever they are. I'm not very fashionable, but there'll be different types of jeans. And I said, well, if they're not popular today, but tomorrow night Taylor Swift has a concert and she comes out with them, my assumption is that within 24 hours, there would be a massive, massive surge of these types of jeans being sold. And I know that actually Semrush do things like that and show things that are going up and down in terms of trends in the very short term, rather than these types of jeans have gained momentum in the last year because lots of micro influencers are using them. So it's definitely something that's used. And also for me, keyword gap is a must, as is backlink gap, right? Because that can give you inspiration in other ways. Why is my competitor got this link? Well, actually, if I read the content and I look into what they did it because of this. And then you can either improve on that or create something new based on the same kind of ethics that they were using and the same processes to get good quality links.
Amazing, Alex. Actually, when we are talking about backlinks and getting more links, we also need firstly to have great content that actually deserve to get a link, to get that reference. And when we are talking about the basic related to SEO and content strategy, we always talk about high quality content, but what defines that nowadays when we think on getting the basic done? What is high quality content that you actually rank, and what we need to think when creating this kind of content?
Well, high quality content's actually hard to define, as is helpful content. I mean, Google themselves have found it quite difficult to define certain elements of what is helpful, what's high quality. To me, again, if I go away from SEO and just think of, I'm a marketer to the user, my content, let's say there's two scenarios. Either I'm selling something that everyone else is selling, I therefore need to be the best at what I do or the most creative at what I sell, right? So let's take ladders, for example. Why is my ladder, why should you buy a ladder from me and not from ladderstore.com, right? And there'll be a number of reasons for that, but you have to entice that user to go, you know what, actually, I like this brand or this product because of these specific reasons. Don't over optimize for the search engine. Just because there may be a certain term connected with a ladder doesn't mean that everything around it has to be around that one set of keywords. It's it's one of those weird things that the other thing is, be the best in what everyone else is doing, or do something unique that no one else is doing. That creates another argument, is how can I find that? And that goes back to EAT and the brand name rather than the product name. Because all of those things intertwined is really, really important. But high quality content, you have to think of why would an LLM pick up that content? Another thing to think about, if you're thinking from a brand term, is to have your brand mentioned away from your website. Just like not just link acquisition and digital PR, but also just general reputation management. Because if you want to be talked about, you'll have to have other opinions of what other people and brands think of you and your brand. That is all pulled in together to bring out what LLMs believe to be really helpful and useful content. You can't control it as much, but at least it's honest and it's first person experience, and therefore that's what the algorithm finds to be more genuine and therefore rankable, which is why Reddit gets so much exposure, right? Not always for the right reasons, but it's the same concept of how it thinks, what is trustworthy, and therefore there to present to the searcher.
Alex, in your answer, you mentioned concepts from EAT, which is actually a guideline that we need to think always when we are trying to create content and so on. How much that matters when we are creating content? Is EAT a guideline that we should always think when we are thinking to create content that performs? It's the most important guideline in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a ranking factor. So some SEOs will say, don't think about it, right? But I still, again, don't obsess about SEO, every single thing that you're doing. You have to think about it. That's true. But EAT is just it's ethics and things that existed before the internet. Go back before the internet existed. Just a spokesperson, Tony Robbins on business, he's got EAT because of who he is. If you get a celebrity into a brand, let's look at Nike and Michael Jordan and how that works. And it was huge scale, and it was obviously a top 1% marketing campaign. But that was a way of how is Nike going to instill its EAT beyond the EAT it already has as a brand already, and it's by getting those influencers in there. That's just one example of getting that trust. Another way of getting that trust is having client testimonials, customer reviews, anything that is a third party or user generated content that can instill what you're saying about yourself. So for me, if I go to my personal brand and personal website, I want someone to give me a testimonial about me and my skills, because me saying I'm a technical SEO is great, but I need someone else to back me up to instill that trust on authority on the user. So I've used things like LinkedIn recommendations. Whilst it's kind of not SEO, it also is, because it all ties into my EAT, and therefore my EAT helps Yoast because I'm a spokesperson and an employee of Yoast. So it all kind of does intertwine. So my EAT may have a positive effect on Yoast as a brand, and vice versa, because Yoast is known as a brand and has entrusted me to be a principal SEO. So back into SEO, it's all about structured data, connecting all the dots in the web, which is part of the stuff I love about the web and SEO in general.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's cool. I think that's so the same. I have the same opinion. And guys, just remember, it's a Q&A also. So by the end, we're gonna answer all those questions. Feel free to write down your comments and also some questions. We have a question here, Alex, that I wanna do it right now. It's from VC. And how does AI impact SEO nowadays? And as we are talking about creating content, a lot of people are using AI to generate content. What is your opinion about it?
Well, there's two elements to the answer of how does it impact SEO. So one of the elements is, how does it impact the way I do SEO, right? I don't believe, like I said before, it should change too much. All of these AI overviews and LLMs are working off existing content of stuff we've been doing before now. So that's one way of saying it. Yes, you can do more You can do more things in terms of content production and getting stuff out there to try and be caught inside the answer of what is being asked of an LLM. Other than that, what's changed in SEO? The thing that has changed is the way that search results are provided to you. So some people will argue that SEO is dead because now that AI is taking over, AI is providing the answer. I couldn't disagree more. I actually was listening to Marcus Tober from Semrush. He was talking at where was he? He was in Munich last year. I think it was SMX Munich. And in that he explained that he believes that SEO is actually more valuable nowadays because there's less search result real estate to fight for. It's therefore more valuable. And I never thought about it like that. And he's very right. You know, if there were 10 links, if there's now 2, it's even more important that whatever you're doing naturally for the algorithm is shown, because you're fighting over 2 spaces, not 10 now. So 8 other sites are going to lose out, or 8 other pages are going to lose out from that result because AI is taking it over. So you've got 2 choices. Again, continue making the most helpful content that's helpful for the user over the search engine, and also ensure that all your structures data is there because the LLM has to interpret something for some time. And obviously try and be as organic as possible because you'll never see those 2 results.
When we say try to be as organic as possible, it's really interesting because SEO also has this perspective, right, Alex? When you do a very good strategy on SEO, you naturally attend your user, your target audience. So when you think as an SEO on your content, when in your strategy, in your full strategy, you are also closer to actually attend your audience much better, in a much better way. And actually by the end, get more leads, get more conversions, get more trials activations, by the end, getting more sales, because SEO helps to target an audience that you actually be interested in your service and your products. Alex, as we mentioned about high quality content, and it leads to the next step on one of the basic points of SEO, which is the link building. How do you work to find and to get the best links to direct to your project, to your websites? What is the steps that you do, and what tips can you share here?
If I've got a new client, what are you talking about? A new client that exists, or brand new business?
Let's say a brand new business that we see that a lot of users and people has this issue. They are creating and they are trying to develop their projects. Even the website, it's like 2 years long, but it's not ranking or not getting that much traffic. So it's still new on the internet, let's say, knowledge on that perspective.
So I'd say before you think about link building, like you said before, think about your content. Make sure it caters for everything. And actually then think about the page itself. Is this page worthy of me going to publisher X and saying, can you provide a link to this page? They'll ask why, because they'll probably have received 20 emails in the last hour asking for the same thing. So you need to think, how are you going to be unique? How are you going to get through the email to even be open? So an outreach strategy is really, really important. An email strategy is really important. But then choosing the right websites to link from. So if I've got a new business, I'm not going to get a link on New York Times right now, am I? Not unless me as a person has such huge authority over the world in general that I'm in the public eye, that just the notion of opening a business will create a news story. None of us are like that. So we have to do it ourselves. Create something that is newsworthy by owning your niche, but not going so separate from your niche that you have no competitors whatsoever. You're always going to have some competitors. And then what I do as an SEO is I look into those competitors. If I'm opening a business, I like to think, what do I think my competitor is, without looking at any tools out there? And then only after that, I'll look into those competitors. Then I'll use Semrush and I will find out what you think the competitors are, because they're not always the same answer. And you may find that there's some other website you weren't even aware of their brand, and they're doing really, really well online. And vice versa. You might think that brand is doing really, really well online, and actually they don't have a lot of presence, especially in the niche you're in or the location you're based in. So always do the competitor analysis. Backlink gaps is the way to go, and work your way down, because if you are a new business, you're not going to get 100 DA80 sites linking to you in the next week. You have to start from the bottom, just like any business, and scale your way up to the higher authority sites.
Alex, already starting our Q&A. Guys, everyone that is following us, feel free to write down your questions. It's time to answer all of them. And we're going to start with Dixon, which wrote a question related to link building, which is the topic that we are covering now. Is external link building significant this year as it was before, let's say, to 2018?
Yes, and it always will be. Some form of link building will be important. I use the phrase, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around, does anyone hear? It's kind of is the same concept. And if we were to use another example online, let's say, I don't know, Trump, right, decides to make his own website, but he doesn't tell anyone about it and publishes it. How is the internet supposed to know that it's from him, right? Bad example, very political, but it's the only person I could think of because he was on that 3-hour space yesterday with Musk. But
no worries.
But if he does do it, who knows? So until someone like him or his press office release a statement saying this website exists, it's not good enough. Even if the site is indexed, it's never going to rank until it's connected somehow to a high authority site or page via a link that confirms, actually, this is Trump's site. And then you know that if he was to go on X or Truth Social, whatever his platform's called, or anywhere else and said, this is my website, within that's the EAT there. That's the connection made right there from something that online has high authority. He does have EAT online for his own entity. So that's the way it is link building, even though it's social media. It's essentially a link on the web that from an authoritative profile that can show you. But there's other ways. If he made one call to, again, the New York Times, I don't think he's their friend. It's probably fake news, but even if it was, he would say that, and that's how it would be done.
Yes, and actually, I'm posting now in the chat. We have published in the beginning of the year a rank factor study from Semrush, and that points also that link building still matters, and it's important because the authority from your website is still something that looks as an important rank factor when we analyze the top performing websites and how they are ranking. A lot of them shows a high authority based on link building. So feel free to download that study. It's signed by Mark Stuber, an amazing SEO. So you can see a lot of information on how to improve your ranks as well. Going further here with more questions, we have a lot of them, Alex, so it's nice. I will go with Kanchan Mitra, who wrote about content writing. I work as a content writer, and I found that many clients are very negative of AI-generated content. What is from the SEO point of view, but not from Google. But now that Google now has Gemini, should be averse to AI-generated content, or should we embrace it? And if we embrace, how do we convince the clients that it matters?
Kind of, in a short, it kind of trust it. It depends what you're trusting it with. So the first question is this: if I read a product page's content and then I found out that a machine produced that content, I, as a user, this is my personal opinion, wouldn't feel duped, but my EEAT would kind of be lost. Like I know this is different on scale with enterprise websites, and sometimes it's harder to manage these things. But if you're a small website owner and you've got 50 pages, why are you going out and automating that process? It's only 50 pages. And whilst you can get help from AI, it shouldn't be taking over your decisions. You should be directing everything, and you should be the driver of the passion of the brand of the product. That's, I would say, in short. Do I trust AI content? It depends. If we go back to the ladder example, I think I should write a post about 10 creative ways to use a ladder that isn't climbing up it. But if at the bottom I want to define what a ladder is, it's perfectly acceptable, in my opinion, to have AI present the definition of a ladder because it's just inane, absolute content. But other than that, I wouldn't let it automate. I wouldn't let it do any of that. Again, like in Yoast, for example, we don't let that happen. We have AI assistants that help you generate titles and descriptions, but you're given a choice of 5 and you're the human, you make the choice and then approve it.
Cool. Alex, we are almost finishing our show, but I will still do an last question. And actually, I am inspired by the comment from Daniel. Please, we can put it on the screen. I will rephrase a little bit, but the idea is that we see a lot of new things, a lot of mess, let's say, in the last 18 months from Google. And sometimes we might question ourselves, should I still work on SEO and try to implement all those things that I have learned in the last few years? It still makes sense to do it with all those updates, all that mess that we have. What is your opinion? Is SEO a still valuable, let's say, activity to improve your ranks and everything? My opinion is that yes, and actually it's even more. But what do you say?
Yeah, I agree with you. It should be done more, and the role of an SEO will evolve over time. But do not forget what you learned 18 months ago. Just because the way in which the SERP is being presented is changing, A, it doesn't mean it's sticking that way, and B, it's going to be improved. Because I agree with you, it's not. Google hasn't done the best implementation of AI overviews. Just look at Lily Ray's X feed to see all the examples of how it's going wrong. But that's the V1, right? And it's experimental as well. Remember that. They could pull it in any way, just like the third-party cookie thing, which caused a massive hubbub. I would say just always chill, relax, and keep learning and everything. But the way you see the SERP today isn't the way you're going to see the SERP in 12 months, 12 months after that, 12 months after that, because the landscape's changing so much. But the ethics of marketing have not changed, and they won't.
Yes, amazing. So glad to see so nice comments, Mitra. Thank you for your questions and for your comment. We are happy to help. And that's it, guys. We have actually overtime because the conversation was so good. It was amazing to have you here. Please follow the links that we have in the description to access more content. Integrate Yoast with Semrush also to get more data and improve your ranks as well. And guys, that was amazing. Alex, your final words, and it was amazing to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing so many great informations as you did. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. We'll see each other again soon in Brighton, and I know there's a Spotlight conference in Amsterdam on the 30th of October as well, which hopefully I'll be attending. So looking forward to more Semrush Yoast times.
Yeah, we're gonna have a Spotlight conference in Amsterdam from Semrush. Guys, feel free to also buy your tickets. It's on sales, and we can meet each other, all of that. And if you saw this invitation here in the live show, please find us there, that we're gonna attend you there with a live conversation. It's gonna be even better. Alex, thank you so much again.
Thank you again. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye, guys. Take care.